Technology is nothing but mind control. This is a quote that my neighbor Pat said, and she believes in it profoundly. She is one of the two people I interviewed for this assignment, her and my mother, Kelly Bogartis. Now, Pat favors technology, while my mother enjoys it, and I find it to be both beneficial and destructive. Now, the first person I interviewed was Pat, and she didn't have much great things to say about technology. Pat grew up with TV, but it wasn't very popular. All that they watched it for was to watch the news. Other than that, the TV was off, and it only had like maybe one or two stations. She also expressed her feelings towards email in handwritten letters. She loved writing handwritten letters to her sister who lived in Arizona at the time, and she finds them to be more meaningful than emails. She says if you're sending something electronically, then it doesn't have as much meaning to it. It doesn't have as much feelings, and she says that handwritten letters are just more fun to receive in the mail. She was born in 1939, a time when technology was not that popular. She loved to read and draw, and she loved playing outside with her friends. She said she would be outside from sunup to sundown playing with her friends, never once thought, oh, what's going on with the TV? I need to watch TV. But she didn't have that many technology things offered to her. Now, she also ended her interview by saying how thankful she is for growing up in the time that she did. She was born in a time where people interacted face to face. They didn't always wonder what's going on with my phone, scrolling. She was always being taught to smell the roses, basically, is what she said. She lived in the moment. Now, while Pat hates technology, my mother, on the other hand, favors it very much. She grew up in the 70s and 80s, a time when technology was still developing, but it was widely popular. She loved to watch the morning cartoons on Saturday. She loved watching all of her Bugs Bunny, and she said it was something she looked forward to every single week. And she also loved MTV. MTV was very popular when she was a teenager. And because of MTV, all they showed at the time was music videos. And one of the music videos she loved watching was Michael Jackson's Thriller, which resulted in her buying her first ever album, Michael Jackson's Thriller. And this is how they had music back then. It was on big vinyl CDs. No CDs, no MP3s. This was their music. And everybody always had to buy albums. That's why they were so widely popular back then. So because of MTV, it shaped her, and without it, she wouldn't have been into the music she loved. And she also loved movies. She loved the technology allowed movies to advance, like with special effects. Like one of her favorite movies is Gremlins, about these little gremlin things. That's where Furbies came from. And she loved how the gremlin effects were on the TV. And she also loved Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink. She loved movies. And she also had a telephone. It was a landline one, where she could talk to her friends, but she wasn't allowed very much time because her dad didn't want a high phone bill. But while she said she had technology in her life, she also had a social life. She loved going to burger joints and hanging out with friends, and she wasn't always worried about having technology around. And she also loved to paint. Loved to paint. She always was painting, and she'd always paint pictures for her friends as well. Now, with my mom loving technology and appreciating it, she made sure that I grew up with it. I grew up as a tech native just like all of you. And I owned CDs, VHSs, even little cassettes. And I loved playing on this big computer we had. It wasn't very fast, but it was a computer. And so it did work, but very, very slow. And I find technology to be useful. I find it useful to look up information, to stay connected with friends and family, like my cousin in Oregon. I am able to connect with her through Skype and Facebook, which is much easier than it would have been 20 years ago if I would only been able to connect with her with letters. And so I can see her face to face, which I love about technology. But I also find it to be destructive. Technology is sometimes makes people just forget about everything else. Like I'll walk around campus and I'll see people looking at their phones, like looking around, walking, not even looking in front of them, not even paying attention to what's going on. And after hearing these three perspectives, hopefully you can see the effect that technology has had on people and the diversity of it. And maybe you know somebody like Pat who doesn't like technology that much, or somebody like my mother who actually enjoys it and appreciates it, or someone like me who finds it to be both beneficial and destructive. So as you can see, technology has had a great and diverse effect on people, and where would we be without it?